Cool. We are live on YouTube.
Nice.
Bro, someone's having a hell of a party outside.
I don't hear it. You're good.
It's like 12:01 a.m. in Monday. What the hell's going on?
10 seconds. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call, the podcast with myself and Croncy, where we talk Star Citizen stuff, but we also open up our Discord for you guys to call in. Think sports radio, right? Talk about a specific topic, and then people can call in and share their thoughts as well. We go back and forth. If this is your first Answer the Call, get subscribed if you're on YouTube. I've been saying this every week as much as I can. It's the only channel that I have that has 10,000 views and 3,000 subscribers. It's usually not like that. So get subscribed if you guys like the show. You guys seem to come back and watch it every week. Make sure you hit that button. It really does, really does help us. And if you want to go above and beyond, there is the join button as well. And we'd like to do super cool stuff for you guys for that stuff. For going above and beyond and supporting us. So we appreciate it for the ones that have. And there's also a new Discord that's in the description, or if you're watching on Twitch, an !podcast. So if you want to join the show, that's how you're going to do it. You just pop in the green room and we'll bring you in. But as you guys can see by the title, this week was a little bit slow, but there was a couple interesting
repeat
tidbits.
title from last week. A little bit slow. A little
Yeah,
bit. You know.
it's I mean, the last 2 weeks are basically the same, right?
Yeah.
They've just been trying to make the PTU work, and it doesn't work. They're trying to shove Xenothreat and Jumptown down our throats, and nobody cares. Is like nobody cares. I feel like nobody cares about Jumptown. I certainly don't. And Xenothreat just isn't working, right?
Yeah, I would love to be in a Xenothreat right now and having the time of my life, but like, yeah, it doesn't work. Haven't been able to get it to work and haven't been able to push it. So
I was starting to get sick on last week's podcast. I was extremely sick all week. Did you get an opportunity to try any of the PTUs, try Xenothreat, try any of this stuff?
I haven't bothered because every time, so the PTUs tend to go live at like 6 a.m. my time. So normally by the time that I'm able to give it a go, it's like been 12 hours later. And everyone in my chat has said, don't bother. It's everything is garbage. Don't even give it a go. So I haven't. And unfortunately, the other PTU, which I would have tried regardless of how bad it is, the cargo patch just also hasn't come out yet. Yeah, there hasn't been a Nivakata yet. They originally mentioned 2 weeks ago now that it was going to be like soon-ish.
Wednesday.
Keeps getting they keep saying Wednesday and then it keeps getting pushed. So once again, hopefully this week. But like at least this week we did get the monthly report. And the monthly report does usually have a fair bit of information in it, and it had some pretty sweet information in it today, and to the point that it's probably going to take up the bulk of me and Mike shouting at each other. But like in terms of just things that are happening, it's feeling a little light. The biggest thing this week, at least from me, and it may be for you too, Mike, was the Atmo Esports AVS charity tournament. Yeah, it was insanely cool.
It really was. I mean, it's my second Atmo, I guess, fight or flight style tournament, and it was so fun.
Yeah,
like anytime you put like extreme restrictions. And both tournaments that I did had incredibly extreme restrictions on the players of what ships they can fly, what weapons they can use, so on and so forth. Like the first tournament that I ever did, they told us what ship we were flying in that round, and we didn't know what was coming. So like in the moment, you had to strategize, and that's what comes forward was player strategy. Like there were incredibly skilled pilots that did not make it to the end because ship choice and strategy outplayed the skill of the players, right? Like Burks was out in like loss, right?
Yeah,
super strong player.
Yeah, team hashtag not last came equal last.
Like it was very interesting this time around because I think Master Mode's even the playing field so much along with the rules that strategy was king, as well as like there were a couple teams that were just a bit stronger than others, and those were the two teams that came in first and second. But like my team chose the wrong strategy and we lost. So the only time that we won was when another team chose the same strategy as us.
Yes, and you crushed them. You
crushed them. We lost
them.
the first round. I wouldn't say crushed them.
You lost the first round, and then you handily defeated them in game 2 and 3. Like, by far. So for reference, guys, the way that this tournament worked logistically, because this was also a very, like, big experiment for both, like, master modes, for private lobbies, which was a massive deal and made this so much easier and better, as well as just, like, trying out formats. And so, like, part of the formats was, it was 3v3, but if you brought a heavy fighter with 2 seats, you had to use both those seats, right?
Yeah.
So
we didn't saw some see that rule, actually. So we were planning on going. We were actually planning on. This was our initial plan. Me and a Talon, Expat in a Buck, and Knebel in a Scorpius.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
And then when we learned that was because we just brushed over that rule, just didn't see it. We were like, oh shit, and we kind of scrambled and then went with the Hurricane because our initial plan was Hurricane, but I was in the turret and then I couldn't get my turret to work. Whenever I moved, my head would move and the turret wouldn't, and no matter what keybinds I removed, it was always the same. So yeah, it was rough. This is actually my first time watching the tournament from your perspective. So I think this is the first round that we lost, but I want to know from you, did our strategy piss you guys off? Because we stood like we lost right away because they went towards the station and used the station against us, and then we said, nope, not happening, you're coming to us. And I literally just sat there like this and waited for 2 minutes in one of the fights. So I was like, ooh, is this lack of action making them upset?
No, it was kind of cool because, like, for real, it wasn't really like 2 minutes. It was probably more accurate to like 30, 45 seconds before action started.
Felt like forever to me,
like an eternity.
Yeah, because we were like, we were just full of nerves.
I think it came off really well as well because we got to also see Zero State like do something which I think Zero did during one of the other fighter flights, where it was like, all right, if you guys are gonna try to get us to come to you, we're just gonna try to hide around Jericho this entire time. And it was kind of cool seeing the interactions there, and then watching Dora and Expat try to goad the other Hurricane into engaging and stuff was super cool to watch. So I actually loved it. I think I was sick. So but yeah, it was awesome to watch. But biggest thing is like, so this is our first time doing a major tournament like this with private lobbies. Obviously, Mike, you got to experience the Ignition Expo in private lobbies a couple weeks ago. But this is our first big like combat tournament.
Yep.
And yeah, insane. Absolutely insane. For reference, when we used to do these tournaments, we would have to do them like in Hurston. People would have to go back to the landing zone, get a new ship out, come back, or like respawn however they wanted to do it, which would just take eternity, right? And now we can just respawn all the time. It's, oh my God, it's actually happening, Mike. We can do esports in Star Citizen now.
How about this? Like, people were like, oh, the griefers are going to come for this event.
And none of that stuff is applying at all, but
I did it. No,
he did it. It's not a pod unless Mike does that.
Oh my God, it's like not going away at all. Okay, there we go. There it goes. That was weird. I think I double clicked it actually because I definitely hit it. I'm upset at myself. But it's not possible for those things to happen anymore, which is so cool. And this is where these events should live. Anyway. Like all these events that people want to do in the PU, a lot of it never made sense, and they always should have lived here, and now they get to, and it's what Arena Commander is great for. It's great for a lot of things, and this is one of the things that it is absolutely great for. But yeah, it was so much fun. I think the rule set is what made it the most fun. I don't think you can take this rule set. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, Yogi should learn from this." And I'm sure there's a few less, like, people just want to shit on Yogi and it bothers me. But the I think that there's some lessons that could be learned from this. Like, what was like, let's try to be like positive first and be like, I think the way that ship archetypes played into the roles, like whoever decided to try to do 2 interceptors, which nobody actually did, I don't think, won. And the like would have easily won, but the like certain choices mattered. That's awesome. Like, how many times has CIG wanted to say choice matters, right? But like, obviously this was an extremely different than what a PU scenario would ever be like. So it's like, there's not that many lessons to learn, but
you don't balance the PU based on how you would do a 3v3
exactly.
There's things that you can like. There are things and ideas
content creator tournament. Like, these aren't PvPers.
Exactly. They're all trash. So why would you balance them off that?
Not all, but a lot of us were, and I am included in the trash, so I take that.
Like the lessons that you can take from it. The lessons you can take from it is like, all right, well, why did we ban certain ships maybe, right? And it's because they're too powerful in a bunch of situations, including this, right?
And the weapons.
Those are the sort of things that you can do. Same thing with the weapons. You can sort of do it on that way. But like, one of the whole reasons of making your own format like this is so that you can get it even more competitive and balanced than the game even feasibly should be. So I'm just happy that we did that at all. And I don't know about you, I loved the 3v3 format. Because we've done a lot of 2v2s in the past.
I prefer 2v2.
You prefer 2v2?
Yeah, I think it's so much more. I think it's just skill comes out more in the 2v2. I think it gets it gets a little more chaotic with 3v3, and then I think maybe because you could choose multi-crew ships, and multi-crew just proved to not be as good. Like, obviously, I didn't have as good of a time as people who went further, so maybe that's why I feel that way. But I had such a good time in the 2v2, and we obviously went to the finals. So it's a little, maybe I'm biased, right? But I felt like I felt like it was two 1v1s.
Yep.
In 2v2, which was kind of cool. But but this is more of a crew, kind of like a real fight.
Exactly. But that's kind of why I like it, right? And I like the idea as well. Right. Like, if you're in, triple fighter 3v3, then you also get into situations where, like, in your hurricane matchups, you get to switch targets, but it's also like, if one person gets eliminated, it's not game over. Whereas, like, in a 2v2, it's game over most of the time. Yeah. So there's a little bit of leeway there. It has made me want to think, though, I do really want to try doing something like this in a 5v5, but with even further restrictions, Mike, where it's specific roles as well. So you say, like, you got one snub, one light fighter, one heavy fighter with gunner. And then you see how that can sort of evolve in the format. So
that would be sick.
It was really sick. It was really awesome. And in addition, $25,000 raised.
What were you guys like hoping to get? Because it feels like you smashed it. Were you just trying to get the? Yeah, you were just trying to get 10K for the go-karts, right?
Yeah. So it was 2 charities technically, but the first charity, like, raising for the first charity was for things that go to the second charity. So it was always both charities. And the goal for that was 10K, and then it was essentially anything over that just goes straight to the second charity. So yeah, we went 25K, which was insane. It was a funny moment. I think the day before, as we were setting up, I was talking to Detox, and Detox was like, it's not going to happen. But what happens if we don't make 10K? I think we hit 10K before the first match started.
Yeah, so. It was. You were at like 3.5 before the stream turned on.
Yeah. It was nuts.
Yeah. And just, dude, set up. Like, I see expats here in chat who was like our MVP for sure. The setup was so smooth. Like, spawn in, okay, just meet over here, go.
Yep.
It was awesome. Like, compared to the first fighter flight, oh my god, it was so much better. That at the end, I've told this story plenty of times, so I'm sure many people have heard it. The final was supposed to be best of 3. We just were like, no, just one fight. We're done. We're so tired. We're done. Like whoever wins wins. Like we don't care at this point. Like that's basically what it was. It was too long. This went pretty snappy. Like it wasn't that bad at all. So yeah,
no, it was nice and smooth. Which I've fully put into more than anything, just the fact that we're able to run it on Arena Commander with private lobbies. It has made me realize these are the next things I need for this though. Which please, Duncan.
Oh yeah, he's here.
I'm just talking to you. Please, spectator mode.
Yeah,
ASAP. My God.
Because then you don't need the other ships in there. Because I'm telling you, I had to tell one of them to turn their ship off because I was targeting them. They were like in the way. It was so annoying.
Slightly kind of funnily related. Did you see what happened with Bog and Ollie?
No. Oh, so they were on the same each other, right?
Yeah, they're on the same team, and we're watching the playthrough, and Ollie is just like absolutely spamming shots into Bog.
Yeah.
For like a solid 30 seconds too.
Yep. I lost to that team, by the way. That's the team that knocked me out, guys.
Woofed.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was pretty crazy. But yeah, I'd love to see a spectator mode. I would love to see the ability for, as a spectator, to see like hull health of ships, their boost meters, their speed, where their shields are at, just sort of the general like
data.
How solid is this ship going? Yeah, because that would just even skyrocket this stuff further. And one of the biggest things for me as well is like it was genuinely really entertaining to watch those dogfights. So it was a huge deal for me.
I was dead, wanted to go to sleep, and I watched the whole tourney.
Hell yeah!
Like I was done, and I watched the whole thing. It was actually entertaining. So yeah.
Yeah.
But you want to maybe move on to monthly report and.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm gonna need your help a little bit on this one because I'm usually like locked into all the things that happened, but since I've had such a rough week, I am not as locked in. And like, man, I have to make week in review. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I usually work on it throughout the week, and I have to do it all in like now, and it's gonna be brutal.
Don't worry, there's a whole script for you in the monthly report. You just read that out word for word.
Thank God there's no
hour and a half long video.
Thank God there was no ISC or SCL worth talking about. That's all I gotta say. It'll make my life a little bit easier for sure. Yeah. But I don't know.
So first big thing I noticed that's always like the biggest thing that everyone tries to check first is with ships. So obviously they added the stuff that we already know about that got added during Invictus. But then in addition, the Zeus Mark II, level of detail 0. So
that's
sweet,
the end, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. It's level of detail 0, and then like
SFX, I think, and destruction.
Possibly,
I think.
But yeah, either way, it's certainly on time for what like they said that the
because it's Invictus
ES
or not
was going to come out with 4.0.
Not Invictus. It's
IAE.
IAE is when these are coming out, or IAE is the Polaris. I forgot.
4.0 for the ES.
Okay, yeah, whatever that means, we'll see. It's hard to tell right now.
Regardless, I think it will be ready by November. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like they've made great work on that. But then in addition, we got 3 more ships entering White Box, 3 unnamed ships. So plenty of things still to come. The important thing to remember there, though, is if things are going to White Box, that means they're not going to come out in concept. They're going to come out straight to Flyable, most likely. So
correct.
Cool. Awesome. Always keen for that, too.
Also, just around... One thing we did not get this week that we were supposed to, Ironclad Q&A.
Was that supposed to come this week?
Yeah. It was not. It was not in this week in Star Citizen, but there was a post from a community manager saying that it would. I think, or did they say soon? They might have said it's the fucking soon comment or something.
Is it still? I imagine it's still available. The Ironclad, right?
I hope so.
Or
I haven't
sale finished.
I really hope not because I haven't got one yet because I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, as much as I disagree with people that it definitely that people keep saying that it has an open top, enough people want to know if that is the case that it definitely needs to be talked about soon.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't have an open top, I still think it would be weird. But before we move on, I noticed one of the things that stuck out to me. I want to. It's a stick out thing, but they're still very vague about it. They mentioned. Our team completed high poly phase for the 2 specialist armors and continue updating the utility armor. So specialist and utility are two different things.
Yep.
They were mentioned at CitizenCon, and they didn't really say what specialist or what utility was.
Yeah, but there's sort of assumptions that we made, like there's likely probably going to be like a recon specialist type thing maybe, or a like like a sniper specialist or something. Utility, I imagine, is going to be probably your mining suits or your salvage suits, those sort of variants. But then also, yeah, a new heavy specialist armor began development too. I wonder if that's going to be another, because the fancy armor that everyone's been getting this patch is heavy armor. I wonder if it's just going to be more of that, where it's just like, hey, we're just going to have a specialist armor that just is 19 different slots for your ammo.
I don't even think that's specialist either. That's just of the legendary. Because there's like vertical and horizontal progression now with the armor is what they want to do. But so that's like more horizontal, I think.
Possibly.
And then this is vertical. I don't remember which is which, but let's go to you, posted in Twitch chat, what Nico had said about the Ironclad thing. And they said, you can expect a Q&A Drake Ironclad comm link to be published in the next few weeks. And that was last week. So there you go.
Okay.
So I was expecting it this week, but I guess I was wrong on that one. So thank you. Let's go for that. Yeah. But yeah, this is something that always sticks out to me because this is them making the game. Like doing the things that I'm always crying that they should do. So that's why that kind of stuff sticks out to me, because I think it's super important.
Yeah. There's a quick nod to essentially Maelstrom in the AI tech section, where they're just talking about NPCs being able to understand when their cover is destroyed.
Yeah.
Which, like, yeah, cool. It's one of those things where it's like they haven't talked much about Maelstrom really. They just keep using that word and just saying like destroyable things.
Yeah.
But so awesome, cool, sweet. AI knowing where they can hide and whatnot is always good. I will say almost the entire core gameplay section is talking about a ton of stuff that is looking at 4.0. So
I was so confused in this. The scanning I really struggled understanding. I still don't quite understand what they're going for here.
As in like the radar and stuff?
Yeah, just their explanation of it. I just don't really get it. Is it like the old scanning that we had before, or is it... And just like the way they described it, I was confused, personally.
Sure. I mean, I imagine something that will... Like, that hasn't been put on the 4.0 list yet, has it? I don't think it has. When they did it on... Yeah, so I imagine we'll get a bit more on that soon, but... Yeah, I mean, it's probably something that they've also changed since last year anyway. But some of the bigger stuff, charge and drain getting a big mention here. Yep, charge and drain distortion damage from ship components. Also mentioned later that, a little bit earlier, they're talking about batteries, the multi-tool. Interestingly enough, the multi-tool refactor, I remember, Mike, a couple of weeks ago,
you
mentioned that might be the military tool. It doesn't sound like it's that, but it does sound like a much better multi-tool, where instead of constantly switching between modes and stuff, it's as simple as left click, right click. Sweet. Cool.
I wouldn't thumbs that up too hard. How do you ADS? Yeah. The right click part is weird. Put it on 2 clicks, but not left click and right click. That's all.
Okay, yeah, I missed that.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Right? Because like you do ADS with these things a lot. In salvage, you do it. In mining, you do it. In tractor beam, you do it. It's like, what are we doing here? I mean, I know like aiming down sights in a lot of games is middle mouse button. So maybe that's where they're going to go with this, is try to go down that route. But I do not like that idea at all. I like it on right click personally.
It's definitely,
I'll move it there.
Mostly on right click anyway with most games.
I'll move it there, and I'll put the other button somewhere else. I'll change it. But default, I was like, wait. I thought the same thing too. I was like, oh, I love that idea. And then someone in my chat goes, how do we aim down sights? And I was like, I had the exact same reaction as you. I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, shit. Well, what do we do now? I don't know. So, yeah, I'm just going to rebind it. But I don't like that default at all, personally. But love the idea of battery consumption.
Yep.
Yeah. the endless being able to track your stuff. You know, I like having consumables because I think consumables is a good way of creating friction for players in the game. Because then it also
as well as
bringing people
it leads
together.
towards also like crafting and stuff because presumably you have to make those consumables.
Exactly.
Another big one, once again, like this entire section, like everyone should read because it's just all stuff about really 4.0 mostly. But the big one that I saw was the jump drive failure events. So this is presumably when you're doing a jump between Stanton and Pyro or wherever else, when you maybe accidentally like scratch the side of the wormhole, or maybe someone's shooting you from inside the wormhole and you take damage. But either way, it actually, disabling you and taking you out of the jump. Now, I still want to know where it puts you because it just says you will be forced out of the tunnel, which correctly aligns with the exit point in the destination star system.
Okay, I can
but
help
where
with that.
Are you?
I have a logical guess.
Okay.
So there was a bug in the initial Evocati jump point test. So the location of the Stanton jump point is at the bottom. The Stanton jump point to Pyro is at the bottom center of the system, like on its initial look, right? If we were looking top down at it. Where you come out in Pyro is at the top right.
Okay.
In the playtest, when we went through the jump point, we were in the location of the jump point in Stanton, but we were in Pyro. So we didn't move. We just switched systems, but we never moved to that top right where we should be. So we didn't connect from jump point to jump point. We connected from the location in Stanton to the same location in Pyro. Right?
Right.
Understand? So what I think is going to happen while you're jumping through the jump point is you will instantly be at that point in Pyro when you go into the jump point, because another thing that happens is the skybox instantly changed to Pyro.
Okay, sure. Yep.
So during your time of travel, you will be traveling from that location to where you're supposed to be. And if you get knocked out, that's where you're going to fall out in your point travel to where you're supposed to be. That's my guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like, so when you say that, do you mean like you're going to drop out, but you'll still be in Pyro?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, cool.
You'll have to
I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with it dropping you in a random spot.
Yes.
Because like if they dropped you in between the systems.
Think.
Yeah, if they dropped you fully in between the systems, it's like sick. This is going to take me 8 years to quantum drive.
No.
To Pyro.
Because you will instantly be in Pyro the moment you take the jump. But
cool, yeah.
So yeah, the moment you get there, and then whenever you take, I think it'll be a straight line from the Stanton Pyro location that doesn't exist, and then while you're traveling, you will be going to where you should be. And then if you fall out at the very end, you might be very close to it in the system. If you fall out in the very beginning, you might be very far from it. That's my guess.
Yeah, cool. That'd be that'd be a
I think it's a logical guess.
Mechanic, I think.
Yeah, given all that I know from the first playtest and the bugged mechanics, I think that's likely what it would be.
Yep. Cool.
Engineering stuff.
Lots of engineering stuff, lots of power pools, which I don't super know what that means. I imagine it's maybe the things where it's like, you know,
I think it's weapons.
At each of the... Sorry?
I think it's like weapons, shields, engines.
Yeah, which they do seem to be connected sort of to each of the what are they called? Relays? Like when one relay goes down, it does seem like the weapons around that tend to go off. So I wonder if by a power pool they mean like everything in this section gets turned off or something. But yeah,
that could be like around a certain what are they called? The relays, maybe.
Yeah, the relays. Sorry.
Could be.
I don't know.
I mean, and then. Yeah, lots of things. I don't know, whatever objects of interest and like scale. Like when they went into this, it just was a little vague.
Yeah.
I'm just like, scanning is such a borked thing in the game for me right now that you're really excited to see what the plans are, like taking it to the next level, taking it essentially to the 1.0 level it was what we're assuming they're going to be doing. But I was lost by this. Did you understand any of this? Because
not a clue. It could just be things as simple as like literally special mission items and stuff, because the way that it's talked about is that they will have like it says special scan highlight. To me in my brain that says if I go to a location and I need to do a scan to find a special envelope or something for a mission, that will come up separately, and the mission designers need that for that, right? So
yeah, I don't know.
That would track. I don't know.
The only obvious is like if an object is occluded, it would show like one way, and if something was obstructed or something, like they always talked about wanting to do that, is like have scans be obstructed by things. But yeah, I think we're just gonna need to see this a lot closer, get an ISC and an SCL after it to really understand what it's all about. But the big positive, FPS radar looks like it's coming to AC.
Yep. Experimental mode sounds like it's going to be 4.0, so we're not going to get it anytime soon, unfortunately. Well, it depends what your definition of soon is, but
yeah.
So that also means technically not a 4.0 feature. Maybe. Once again, it's worded vague enough that we could get the experimental mode before 4.0, and then it could release with 4.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing, like just because we're on the Arena Commander Horde mode, looks like it's moving along. I know they teased that at SEL. It looks like they like it and want to do it. They fixed my Gravlev race leaderboard, so my fastest lap time in the world still exists. Thank you very much.
Damn, I have to get back on that then.
I don't think you could beat it. I don't know what I got. Nobody's within 2 seconds of it. This one's weird because the ship's broken. I just got incredibly lucky. I have never gotten close to that lap time again.
I just got lucky, guys. The hacks installed themselves.
Yes. It's been hacks. It hasn't been like I have more hours on that track than anybody on planet Earth.
Never skill.
Outside of Moldan. Yeah, then when the Nox is fixed, people will beat it by 5 seconds. So it is fixed apparently. It like how we confirmed the fix is I went into Free Flight and been like, yeah, this feels okay, but I'm never really gonna know until I go onto Cleo Islands with the Nox and be like, am I at 28 seconds? Then yes, then I'll know.
Yep.
But yeah.
So continuing a little bit further down.
No one cares about.
Continuing a little further down for us. In interactables is something that's relevant.
Are we going to skip this?
323. I guess that is important. That's true. But okay, I have a problem with this image. First off, I actually like the UI in general.
Yeah.
In general, I like the UI. But it is literally a mirror. It's a mirrored image.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand what's happening. Like. We have the same two items selected in like both halves of the picture.
Yep.
We have capacity 500 of 1,000 SCU in both halves of the picture. What does this mean? Like it doesn't give us any idea on how this works. But of course,
what it means is it looks a lot better than the trash that they showed us on ISC.
That's true. Yep.
Because what was on ISC was like really rough. So this is like artists came and did some stuff to it. So that's good. Like they're making progress towards a not very tier 0 implementation here, at least. That's how I looked at this. So that's like the taste of cargo. I think we're getting a much better taste and teaser of the things that we're going to be interacting with, right? We have icons that are very understandable and readable. I'm not 100% sure what this is. People are guessing that this is like a split button.
Like the
1 out of 10. And the X5 is like, there's 10 of these things. There's 50 of these things. But then
unless it's a bug and it's
1
literally just
10.
got 1 of 10 ammo or something.
Yeah, and that's true. The only thing that's 1 out of 10 is on the guns, not on anything else. We don't know what this thing is. So it is interesting.
Yep.
And they're not mirrored because this has the expanded.
Well, they're mirrored everywhere except for those
top bar,
those icons. Everything else is
exactly.
Mirrored. Yeah. So it's it's just hard to figure out exactly what's going on in the photo, but at the very least, I mean, that's probably not the point of it. They're probably not trying to show us this is how you do it. It's just, hey, look, we made it prettier.
Yeah. My takeaway is just pretty much that. Is it looks more easy to use.
Yep, fits a lot more with the current aesthetic as well. Like 323, all the UI changes in 323 changed the aesthetic of the game quite a bit. This is much more in line with that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I don't know. I'm just excited to get my hands on it. I'm so tired of waiting. Like I am so excited. I just want to play with it.
Gib Evo.
Exactly.
I don't care if I'm crashing every 20 minutes. I can do a lot in 20 minutes. Let's go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the one that I wanted to move towards is in relation to that. It's the interactables. So there was a bunch of stuff to the economy. We know that they've been working on that a ton. And they're going to continue working on that. So expect it to literally probably every month say, hey, we're making changes and we're looking at making changes to make it, better. Yeah.
They seem to be like, this is the whole effort versus reward thing is going to be a 4.0 thing. But where we will see the fruits of that labor is in the hauling missions.
Yeah.
So again, give please.
And speaking of give please, give these. So we have some new models for some of our commodities. So these are the liquid commodity boxes.
Yep.
Which look very traditional to real life liquid storage containers. Cool, sweet. I'm okay with that. I am so bored of just boring different colored like squares. So that's nice. But I also wanted to point out,
killed it too.
Yeah, I mean the art team. You can never fault the art team in Starset.
It's just really...
I can't. There is nothing that I've ever looked at, and sorry, I'm going to take that back. There is nothing that is objectively ugly in Star Citizen.
Of course, there is.
Lots of things that are subjectively ugly. For example,
the Avenger Titan.
No, maybe I don't know.
Somebody said the Starfarer.
The Starfarer.
I'm running a podcast and don't feel like banning you. Don't ever talk about my Starfarer like that. But I think they just did a really good job with these in terms of looking very current, so believable, but futuristic.
Yep, but also recognizable too. Like if you are if you're a pirate or something and you're like, cool, knock off this whatever, it's going to be very easy for you to realize what type of commodity these are very quickly. So that's exactly what you want, right?
For sure.
The thing I was going to say, the destructible generator. Yeah, so in the Pyro playtest, we had one of our first destructible missions where you got to go and blow up some servers. These, I imagine, are going to be using the same tech as that, just some more advanced ways of doing them. But the fact that they are themselves generators is really interesting because I wonder what sort of implications that could have to a mission.
Resource network.
Yeah, resource network. Go to a bunker or not a bunker. Bunkers are cringe, but go to like a settlement or something. Maybe it actually literally knocks out the lights. That's what I would love to see. But yeah, just some more missions coming along, which is good.
Yeah. Before we move on, just because we're still, for the first time ever since starting the podcast, we're kind of low on callers. So if you guys do want to chat about anything we're discussing today, just anything in general that's on your mind, this is one of the only times, because I think once we get back into the swing of SCL and things like that, it's going to be a lot harder to just have the calls open to whatever you guys want to talk about. Anything you want to talk about in SC, jump in this week, because we're finally able to be a little bit more open with the calls. So,
and it'll probably be the last quiet week for a while if we get
cargo
this week.
Yeah, if we get cargo, forget it. That's all That's all me and Croncy are going to be talking about. There's not going to be anything else. You're not going to be allowed to switch. So it's !podcast in the Twitch chat, and Croncy's got it pinned on YouTube. So if you guys want to join in and chat with us, that's going to be the best place to do it.
Yep. The only other one, like, because a lot of the next section sort of cover some things that we've been mentioning, like the charge and drain, but in regards to missions, the things that we've talked about before with like server meshing and the mission system refactor. Probably one of the biggest things of this entire monthly report. I'm trying to find it now, because everyone lost their mind about it, and I was one of them, and somehow I've forgotten what it was. It was trade. It was player trade. Where is that? They mentioned trade between players for 4.0.
Really?
Yes. Chat, help.
I missed it.
Help.
I'm just going to type it in.
I know it's
Control F is your friend.
That is
there. You go.
Oh, here we go. Online technology. Yeah. So yeah, online tech looking at additional 4.0 features, mission system refactor, market system refactor, and the player trade feature in support of server meshing. We don't have a player trade feature right now. We have a player money trade, and that's it. So, like, this is huge. This is massive. This is going to change the game completely if it happens.
Yeah, like yeah. I think it could just be read like a million ways too. That's the dude. What do they mean?
I'm hoping that they mean like an actual.
Me too.
Trade window. A proper trade window. I imagine it's not, like, we're not going to be getting an auction house yet. I hope one day. No way. I mean, but we're not going to be getting something like that. But if we can just at the very least get like the inventory system, and then in the center, I give this, you give this, and then it swaps. You know, like that's all I need for that to be in a really good spot.
I need a marketplace. I would rather them do marketplace before this, but I'm not going to complain if we get this. That's for sure.
I feel like if we got marketplace, like issues wise, marketplace would just ruin people's lives.
Which is why we
think of all of the items that would get like just lost, just would disappear from the game if you put them like in the marketplace or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why we need it earlier. There's so many like silly edge cases that would need to be ironed out. Like you should not be able to put like hanger blocked items on the marketplace, things like that, right?
Yep.
Because then you just sell them and then get them back. It's like weird, stupid stuff. But yeah. I'm as intrigued as you are, but I'm maybe not as excited as you are yet because I just want to know more. I will be as excited. I know I will, but I just want to know more. I hate when they do these little sneaky, like, ooh, this thing. Just tell me what your plan is. I talk about it all the time. Yeah. Just be open about what your grand design is as much as you theoretically can, and just stick to it. And it's like it's always these like, oh, it's a player trade feature, and it could be this, or it could be that, or it could be, and it's just like, just tell me what it is.
Well, because of the way that they talk about it in this, which is once again, it's not very long or anything, but also because it's with the online tech team, like this isn't in the core gameplay section, which is where you kind of expect it to be. I imagine it's literally they've just said, like, obviously we want to do player trading. Hey, everyone responsible for online tech, how the hell do we make that work in the game? And go.
Yeah. And how do I transfer? Now, so. Because one of the biggest things that we have. So what I think this means, actually, now that you say that, you really made a little light bulb moment for me. You know, when you are in a party, but because you're in a party, you can share like you're able to sell somebody else's items.
Yeah.
I think what this possibly could allow is it transfers the ownership. It's like the tech behind the scenes that transfers the ownership in the database from you to me.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to like lots of work from designers and other things in the future. So this could theoretically open up a marketplace. This could theoretically do a trade window. It's up to them what they want to do first. You're almost definitely right that it'll be a trade window first, right? Like it's the simpler thing to do. I think they've even mentioned a trade window as the next thing they wanted to do after the Mo Trader or whatever it was called for money, and then they never did it. None of those guys that were in that ISC work at the company anymore. So it's like,
yeah, I was gonna say the fact that that was even before my time is, I imagine that's no longer a thing. Like
it may
the
have been.
priorities have changed so much.
It literally may have been before your time. Like it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a lot of the around the time of. It was before we ever had a dynamic event. I believe.
Yeah, I think it was also before we had prisons, because I remember when I first started, being able to trade merits had like just been added. I think so.
Perhaps, yeah, I don't remember. I mean, time has flown.
Yep.
Time has flown at this point. So, we had a few people in the waiting room, so I'm just dialing them in now. Nice.
So yeah, obviously tons of stuff in here. Make sure once again, guys, that you read like through the entire of the core gameplay, because that's going to be the stuff that's most relevant. It's all talking about 4.0 and stuff that they'll be looking at releasing after that. It's never a guarantee, but you know, we know at least what they're working on.
Yep. This was another little sneaky call out. Tech Design is setting up test levels for harvestables.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, if you're going to put a new system in like Pyro, there needs to be things that make sense to take from Pyro and bring to Stanton. And hopefully the unique harvestables in Pyro are those things, right? Whether it's minables, whether it's salvageable things, or some plant, you know? That makes sense. But yeah, just another one of those things that I think will be more like a 323 type update. I think 323 was really good to be whenever they do decide to put larger, more encompassing features, all the things that they've done in 323 are going to just allow those things to be more fun. So stuff like this is similar to that to me. But yeah, I think that was all
we did
my end.
We did go over the most important update in the monthly report.
What's that?
And that is that the Space Cow is continuing to get animation work on it, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming.
That's right. I did see that.
When are they going to let me buy one? When are they going to let me pledge for a Space Cow?
They wouldn't let us pledge for the Drake Raptor. They're not going to let you pledge for a Space Cow, sadly. It will be the Raptor first. Here it is.
Yeah.
I had to scroll up way far to find it. But
Sweet.
yeah. I think that's the monthly report.
Do we want to talk a little bit? Yeah, that's the monthly report. Do we want to talk a little bit about the clarification from Jake about the Ironclad?
I don't have that one up.
Was it the Ironclad or was it the...
It was very, very quick and simple. It was not the Ironclad. It was how will commodity trading work at like the smaller outposts? And he just linked the picture of the sneak peek that we talked about at length on one of the podcasts not too long ago.
Yeah.
But he said, like, yes, they're going to work there. Yep. So most likely they're going to be at all of them. I think even the one that was mentioned was like Pickersfield that doesn't have a landing pad. So I'm kind of curious how that is going to play out. But outside of that, it appears like they are... It's not sounding like the cargo thing is going to be tier 0, but it's not sounding as super tier 0, right? Yep. Like, oh, well, we have cargo, but like you're not going to be able to trade from these smaller outposts because we don't have all the freight elevator. Like, I don't think that's what's holding it back. Because again, we believe that there was a cargo update in Evo, but just only the first person that ever logged in was the one who got the elevator, and nobody else got it. So it's been whatever trying to fix that probably, and not actually build the features out.
I've heard concerns from people about like, well, what happens with like your cargo in those locations? If they have freight elevators, you will probably be able to have personal cargo there. I would imagine that there's going to be a one of those terminals is probably going to be at one of each of those locations as well. So I wouldn't be super concerned about that necessarily, but it is going to be one of the first things I check out in Evocati to see if that is the case.
I'm still curious, like how it's going to be trolling Empire there. It'll be funny. But
all right,
we'll see.
Shall we take a question?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. So there's a couple of ones that I've seen that I want to go through, but let's just start with this one from Nostalgic Ham. Is there any talk on additional resource gathering, or if not, enhanced mining / salvage? For example, some kind of element harvester, gas, water, star juice. I don't know what that is. Or a vehicle that when you salvage a ship instead of RMC, you get components and other rare crafting items for base building and whatnot. And if it isn't a consideration, then perhaps expanding on current industrial loops. Asteroid mining with actual deployable platforms, deep core mining on planets more value for precious commodities such as aphrite and genolite. There is no way everything we are resourcing, gathering right now is the end. There's just no shot. There's
everything I feel like he mentioned can be on the table.
Yeah, exactly. And it would be genuinely surprising to me if we didn't have if we didn't have all of those things, honestly. Like, salvaging is still very basic right now. It's just 2 commodities, right? You can expand upon it, of course, by saying that you get to salvage like modules and stuff. But I imagine that that'll probably expand. Mining will almost certainly expand once we get refining, although that may just be it. It may just go sort of that way rather than increasing the different materials. It may just become more complex at the next step.
I mean, I think we already know we're getting new materials in Pyro.
That's true, actually. Yeah, we're getting ice and 2
silicon.
Other things. Yeah.
And
something else. I think it was
another metal.
Regular. Yeah.
Yeah. Common metal, if I remember.
Yeah. The big one, though, I would be interested. Yeah. Like, so in sci-fi, gas harvesting is like a massive thing that happens all the time, right? We don't have that.
That's why I bought a Starfarer.
Yeah.
I just wanted to harvest gas from like gas giants and make fuel and then sell it to people. Like, that was like my first imagined moment that I ever had that made me buy a spaceship that was way too expensive. was that kind of like gas harvesting thing. What the heck? And then the first time I watched the first episode of The Expanse, I was like, how are we not harvesting ice? You know, like those kind of things.
We will be soon.
We will be.
That's nice, at least.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll go for one more as well. And remember, guys, you can submit some questions for the show in the Discord. The best questions are the ones that breed discussion. I'm just going to keep saying that for the rest of my life.
If you guys don't want to like call in, because sometimes it's a little bit scary, we want to open up the people who are in the to conversation to people who may not want to come in the chat or whatever, right?
Yeah. All right. This one is from the Mac Cloud. Is it concerning that important fixes for the game isn't getting to live because it seems CIG are wanting to prioritize patch releases based on ship sale events? Does this make you positive about the future of Starset? What can CIG do to make it better? If CIG was just straight about their intentions for patch rollout, be better, or would it be worse? We actually talked about this a lot just before Invictus, because obviously that like just happened, and we had the patch the week before I think it went live, and then we had like the 0.1 like 3 days before or something like that. Yeah. It sucks, and it's sucked a lot in the past. This is one of the first times that it feels like they were like okay to release the event, and it worked well.
For the first couple days, it was okay. It definitely degraded over time, but there's no way to know if it would unless it did, right?
Yeah. So, my big thing would be like
bad this time for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I think this actually reminds me. I think there was a mention this week that they are changing how they discuss fixes on not Spectrum, on the issue council.
Yeah.
Where it's going to be labeled like something about it's going to be labeled as fixed within the next few patches, right? Like they're not going to say when it's coming. They're just going to label it as fixed within the next few patches. It'll come at some point. I mean that's sort of an interesting thing. I think that helps a little bit with that, but I don't know. I would also argue though that like the push for Invictus kind of worked. Yes, there were still bugs. Right now, they have delayed 323.1a over and over and over again because they don't want to push it too early and absolutely crush everyone's dream post Invictus, even though our dreams are kind of already crushed because the servers have gone to just
They have to end Overdrive on the right foot.
Yes.
Like Xenothread has to work. Like it can't not work because it but at the same time, it kind of goes to that person's question. Are they doing that so the ship sale goes well and they can close out that last chance F7C Mark II, get your last chance at it, kind of thing. I don't know. You can always wordsmith your way into thinking that they're being scummy, or you could always wordsmith your way into thinking that they're doing the right thing. It's so hard to tell sometimes, but every year Invictus launch week comes, without them having to say it, everybody knows what the deal is. You're going to have a fucked up patch, and they're going to push it out and rush things more than they should. And it is what it is. We get that twice a year. It's what for me personally, it's what they don't do. It's what they do on the other times. If they do the right thing on those, I guess, I concede, because I'm never going to win the argument of we need to stop these ship sales. This is not good. Because as good of the idea as you had last week, Croncy, about building chips, I don't think they're going to do that. So, because it would hurt their sales.
Nah.
I want them to do it so bad. I mean, I think it's an amazing idea. I think it's literally perfect, but
yeah,
I don't know if they're capable of doing good stuff yet.
On your thing of just like, it's like what they do with the other patches, I think to the detriment of me not getting to see what cargo gameplay is like, I think that's exactly what's happening right now. Is they are waiting as long as they can to make sure that it's in an okay spot.
Do you think cargo is delayed because 1A isn't good, or do you think cargo is delayed because it's not ready? I think cargo is not ready either, so I think it's no big deal.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it depends just how much resources, how much of QA is designated between the two patches.
That's a good point,
and that's probably not information we'll ever get.
No,
but I imagine it's split in some way. It's not going to be everyone playing 323.1a. So, I imagine it could be either way. But the way that they were talking about cargo last month made it sound like it was a lot closer than it seems it is now.
Yes.
But it could also be the case, because we've had patches where, features that have taken really, really long time to get into Evo Cardi are then actually pretty good in like 2 weeks once they reach that stage. So, don't know.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah. I do just want to do one more question, but only because this was on YouTube and someone donated money. So thank you very much, Chimera, for the $5. As a new player landing at night, when will there be an Area 18 spaceport HUD marker or beacon in game, or never going to happen? I don't know, but I want it.
There already is. Wait, what are we talking about?
Well, they added like the
lights. Are they not good
but
enough?
There's no HUD marker, is what they're saying.
Oh, okay. I think the lights are great, though.
Yeah, they help.
Yeah.
Alternatively, just get good. Find out where it is.
True. Don't refund, please. But no, I just think that light was like perfect and was good enough. But if they want more, do we have a HUD? Well, we don't have a HUD marker at Orison either. A lot of people don't know where to go with Orison, and maybe that's a feature that's needed then when you think about it that way, right? Maybe being able to request your hangar a little further away so you get your marker earlier. Mm-hmm. That could be a good solution there.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so there's things they could do. It's definitely one of those things where it's like we've played the game so much that we know where all these locations are. This is a question for, well, like if it's needed is a question for super new players. Yep. So if you're a super new player and you haven't been able to find it, let us know, because that's maybe that's a relevant thing that CIG need to do.
Yeah.
Cool. With that, shall we go to callers?
I think we can. And then we got one last one. I think that's probably where we'll cut it off, because 4 callers is pretty good. And since we're going to keep it kind of open, the calls might go a little bit longer. So our first caller is the Bear Drew. Hello.
How you doing, Bear Drew?
Hello. Can you hear me?
We hear you great.
Yep.
Good stuff. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good.
What would you like to talk about
Why
today?
is the first caller always like Australian? I don't get it.
I'm not Australian.
That's not Australian? Get out of here.
Wow.
Come on.
Wow.
I'm serious.
I'm from New Zealand. Come on.
Oh, close. Same thing for us. Yeah.
No. I'm joking. I'm from the UK.
You're from the UK?
Yeah.
Just listen more. Wow, you sound so Australian to me. That's crazy. I'm pretty good with this stuff. I'm usually not this bad.
Maybe it's just anyone east of you sounds the furthest east. I don't know.
No, for my wife, yes. Like we were watching Grand Designs from the UK, and she was like, thought that they were Australian or something.
Oh, really?
And it was like not, yeah, it was like really obviously they were like Scottish. And I was like,
Well,
yeah,
the thing is, within the UK,
Person's
like,
from California. I don't know what's going on.
I'm gonna have to turn tab out of the podcast because it's so weird hearing you guys and not the lip syncs off.
Totally.
Yeah.
Always mute.
Yeah.
Always mute.
Yeah. To answer your question, Croncy, I had a bunch of things. What I wanted to talk about, I had a bunch of things listed, but then obviously listening to you guys, I want to address some things that you have mentioned. So,
Sure.
first thing I'm going to say is, I'm glad that you added the questions part of the podcast, being able to ask people to, because I've been watching you guys for like months, and been too scared to jump in, because it is quite scary, as you say, Mike. So it's nice that you've added that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, it's like literally sitting in the waiting room. It's like it's like the anticipation waiting to go in for a job interview,
Except Mike's going to yell at you.
Will Mike yell at me or
no,
not?
I really hope I don't upset Mike. No, I'm joking. Yeah, so that just want to say well done on the salvage video, Mike. Thought it was pretty good.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so I did like my first guide in a long time, and I I was like really, I don't know if I should do guides or not because other people do them so well.
Well, I was going to say to you actually, like, if you enjoy doing them, you should do them because I think it was very good. I think it was very easy to understand,
Thanks.
So if you enjoy doing guides, do some more guide videos, man.
It's why I made a YouTube channel. That was always the intention. Yep. It was never to do a podcast. It was never to make a week in review video. It was never to react to anything. It was literally just to make guides. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, and you enjoy it now? Did you enjoy the one you did?
I enjoyed making that. Yeah, it was. I don't want to do like big ones because I think it's so much effort that I wouldn't enjoy it. But like the small ones, like, hey, this is what's going on. This little thing, in case you didn't know, those kind of guides.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people don't know about the panels because they were in the past and then they were removed and have come back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good. It was good.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I've been playing. I've owned the game since 2015. So I can't remember. I think it was after it was just the hangar thing when I played. There was a few different places. There was Port Olisar and a few different places you could fly around.
2015 had 2.0.
Was that okay? Right, yeah. So there was a few different points of interest you could quantum travel to.
Yeah.
Sorry, damn. 2.0 2015, and we're only about to get to 4.0. 2 patches in what 10 years? Crazy.
There's been loads more patches. Big patches. No. It was good. And then I watched the 2016 CitizenCon,
Yeah.
Daymar, the Sandworm, all that. And I was massively hyped. And I was like, I'm going to just leave it in the oven for a bit. And I've occasionally come back for patches, tried some things out, but not really played that much until this patch.
And?
So I've played enough that I know how to deal with all the jank.
Sure.
So that's not really as much of a blocker for me. I know like the workarounds for certain things, like when the inventory isn't working or when quantum's not working or plotting routes isn't working. Like I know how to deal with all that. So I think that's helpful. If I had not played since 2015, it would have been hopeless. Because sometimes things just don't work. But yeah, so I'm enjoying it. I'm really, really having fun, and I've only got an arrow. I upgraded my, I think it was Aurora to an arrow a few years ago when they added the new flight model a few years ago before this one. And yeah, so I'm sticking with the arrow now. After watching Mike, I'm like, yeah, this guy's making some good points. The more ships you buy, you're basically paying for less gameplay.
Yeah.
So
I've stuck.
Yeah, because it's the only progression.
It's the only money sink
that we're aware of. But if you listen to last week's podcast, if it ever is what Croncy said, which was very simple, for a ship that like we craft, if that ship is X% better in whatever attributes that they want to do, then buy all you want. I don't think it's gonna matter. You know?
I will also just say there's nothing wrong with like whether in game or not. There's nothing wrong with like buying to play the game less. That's how games work for the most part.
What do you mean?
You want to finish the game. Now, obviously, this is an MMO, so you don't want to finish. But like, think about it in terms of like other MMOs. You know, people level up to full so that they then don't have to play for as long, so they can just do their dailies, they can just do their weeklies, whatever. That's all I'm saying. Is like, I not the pay to win section, just the like, because the only thing progression in the game is ships. That's still fine to buy those ships. It's just like,
as long as there is game to play. Like
exactly.
Yeah, like yes. I've been very much of, there are ways to survive through their current funding model. And I think they've realized it too, the way they have it. Again, we've talked about this before. They said they were never going to do crafting. I think they realized that crafting was the only way to survive this this funding model. Like I was going to say mistake, but it's clearly not a mistake. I mean, look at what we ended up with. I think mistake would be like the wrong word to use.
I fully expect after they said that, someone was just like someone big in the company was just like, what? What do you mean we're not doing like the main thing that MMOs do?
Yeah, I on our old podcast Redacted, I literally got into fights with people because anything Chris Roberts said at the time was he was God. And because he said in a post that they don't want crafting, I was like, this is the stupidest shit I'd ever. This was when SaltEMike was born, was like around this moment. It was like people didn't realize that
the evolution of 1217.
My level of arguing with people and like, I will die on this hill. There is no way you can make an MMO without crafting. It was just like, and the fact that people believed that that was a possibility was just nuts to me. But Drew, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, so I'm glad you brought. Did you bring Eve up then, or
I brought Eve up today? No, not yet. But
True,
I was hoping to avoid it.
Today.
Yeah, I was trying to be a good boy.
No, so I played not a lot of Eve, but a decent amount of Eve. I've joined a few of the bigger corps, which are part of bigger alliances. You know, like Test, for example. And the thing about Star Citizen is, right, I've been enjoying grinding towards, because I only have an arrow, I've been enjoying grinding towards getting a bigger and better ship. So I was renting a cutlass and renting a rock, and I accumulated enough money through gem mining to buy myself a cutlass. Now I can do a few things with that ship. That's great, right? But if that cutlass gets blown up, then I have it back, right? Whereas in Eve, I agree with what you're saying about the crafting. So I've never done any crafting in Eve,
but somebody does.
But somebody does, and all the ships I buy are a direct result of somebody going out and mining those resources, selling them at wherever it is they're selling. I can't remember the stations.
Cheetah.
Good old Cheetah.
Yeah, that's the main trade hub, isn't it? So they're selling those resources to the manufacturers who are building the ships that I then go and buy, right? And the money sink is you buy a shit ton of Atrons, right? And then you just fire the Atrons at the enemy like they're ammunition. And that's the money sink. And yeah, you can pay for insurance, but you
What's
don't.
What's an Atron? Is this an Eve reference that I'm not aware of?
That's Atron's like a starter ship.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an early starter ship, and then you work your way up from there.
Okay.
But instead of like having a ship and then building enough money to buy in a bigger ship, and then using that ship to build up enough money to buy a bigger ship, instead you buy a load of Atrons, and then you go and have fun playing the game, doing like PvP or whatever, and then in the downtime, you're doing like you're ratting or you're mining or you're doing some exploration, and you use that to buy yourself some bigger ships. But no matter what ship you buy, you can get the highest package of insurance for that ship. When that ship gets blown up, you lose that ship, and you just get a percentage of the value of that ship and its components
I
back.
insured my first ship recently, so I saw their insurance system.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Are you playing? Are you in a? Are you in
No.
a co-op
I am
or?
so early, like because I'm only 2 weeks in, and I did not play it all this week because I was so sick. That the only thing I've done is I'm still going through the tutorial. I've basically done all of the industry tutorial, all of the mining, all of the market, all of the non-combat related stuff, and now I'm starting to do combat related ones now. So I'm going through the enforcer one. So I want to go through every chain in the tutorial first, figure out what I like, because I'm assuming I'm going to like industry and mining, but I don't know. So I don't want to train all these skills for things that I'm not going to like, right? So I want to figure out what I like first. And I'm taking it really slow. I'm not listening to anybody's advice. I am just taking it in and experiencing the game. If I hit a wall, I'll ask somebody or I'll watch a YouTube video. Because immediately when people heard I was playing Eve, like all of my friends were like, "Oh yeah, let's play Eve," and then they all started playing Eve. But I knew what was going to happen. It was going to be like, "Okay, we're doing this, so you bring this ship and you do that." And I was like, "I don't want any of that shit, man. I want to experience this game. If it's so fucking good and you guys think it's so great, I want to see it for myself. You know, I don't want to be hand walked through it."
Spot on there, right? That's the mistake I made with Eve. I went and played with a bunch of people that knew way more than me, and I went and joined this corporation that operated from out of nullsec. And I just went over there without knowing like most of the basic mechanics. So I think you're doing the right thing there, and that's what I'm trying to do now with Star Citizen. So I know the best way to make money is to just grind to get a vulture and then just salvage. But it's like,
for now,
but
it'll always change.
For now.
Obviously, you had the right
But
ship to
I don't
grind maybe 2-3 years ago, right? Just do bounties over and over and over again in an arrow.
Yeah, and I just oh yeah, the arrow, yeah. Not so much now, but I want to experience all of the different content that's in the game, regardless of how much money it's going to give me, because there's only so much content. So why would I just limit myself to salvage? So
I do want to just make one interesting point, because you talked a bunch there about like insurance in Eve. And it is so inherently different to Star Citizen, and presumably the way it's going to work in the future. In just that, like, because when you buy a ship in Eve and you even insure it, you are still losing money like 100% on that ship if it explodes. Right? It's just a lesson.
You still lose a
percentage.
Yep. Yeah.
Exactly right. And then on T2 ships, it's even worse.
Massive.
So, Mike, I don't know. Like, if you insure a tier 2 ship, they may cost $1 billion. The highest level insurance might give you like 30 million back. Right? So, as in, like, the ship might cost $1 billion, but you're going to get like practically nothing back. And obviously, those are the better ships.
Yeah.
Because you can buy ships in Star Citizen, and because there is a mechanic called insurance that we still know nothing really about, but we know that you will never be able to like truly lose your pledges in some fashion, whatever that looks like may be different. It changes the entire way that the sandbox works.
Yeah.
Because that money is sort of constantly being refreshed through ships exploding in Eve, and that just doesn't happen in Star Citizen. So we need something like that isn't ships, because they can't do it with ships. It's too late.
No, it can't happen.
And so that's sort of what I'm hoping ends up happening with any crafted materials, any sort of like rep materials, our homes. That's where we need to have those things in Star Citizen.
That's why I think your point from last week makes so much sense. Is so you paid to pledge. You're not going to lose the ship, but it's just not going to be as good as a crafted one. Like, if you're gonna want the crafted one, and you'll just have your base ships to be base ship. Like, I love that idea. Is for the people who want to pay to skip, you okay, but it will be at a detriment. It will be at a detriment.
Pay to skip.
Right.
And there's nothing like bad. Like, you would still feel good about having a Gladius that you could infinitely get. It's just like, you know, you would still like you would want to still work towards the Gladius that's 5% better. You know?
Yeah,
Can I just
incentive to play.
Yeah. Go ahead.
chime in on so I had this idea a few years ago.
And Drew, before you finish, we'll probably end it after this.
Yep.
That's fine. Yeah. So I had this idea a couple of years ago. I don't think it's realistic because it would just require CIG to have too many servers running. But I genuinely think the fact that they sell ships they sell ships that they charge real money for means that they can't really you can't lose your ship in a game that you spent real money for permanently. That can't be a thing, right? That's fine. I think a good workaround for that might be, and it could split up the player base, is have a completely separate part of Star Citizen that you play where everybody starts with a flatline starter ship, right?
And you can't
hardcore servers.
You can't
I would die for
hardcore
that.
servers.
I would die for
and
that.
you can't use your paid ships. You have to earn everything in game, and then you can have Croncy, what you said that you can't have in this game because of that, and that is Eve. You can have that, and I think that is the best benchmark for a game like this.
You can put me in the regular servers with everyone. Give me a 0 to hero account. I don't care.
Fine.
Give me one that like forces it for me, you know. And that's exactly what. Essentially,
but even in the regular servers, you can't have an economy like Eve, can you? Because it just wouldn't work the same way.
Correct. Yeah. Sorry. That's right.
It wouldn't work exactly the same way. No.
Yeah.
But if your more ND game economy doesn't have any purchased ships involved, it could look somewhat similar, I think. So I still don't really know Tech 2 and Tech 3 stuff. I'm not that far, but I imagine if
they're specialized.
Like if those things ever exist in Star Citizen, which there is no indication that there are at the moment.
We're talking about the Mark II.
T2 Hornet could have been. Yeah, Mark II Hornet could have been. Yeah, I was literally thinking the same thing.
It's like it's the difference between like having an Idris and a Javelin, like a Mark I and a Mark II. Like it's quite heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like if that is the way it is, then maybe, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
No, I think it's too late, and that's a shame. But hopefully they'll figure something out that's good enough for us.
Yeah, for sure. But all right, was that too scary?
Oh, I've been shaking, sweating.
No, you did great. It was a great call. It was a sick call.
Yeah, you
Dutch
did great,
courage.
man. But we'll let you go.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great. We really enjoyed it.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll look forward to the next call.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Later, man.
Catch
See you later.
Oh, I just unclicked by
Cut
accident.
him off.
Yeah, I cut him off. I'm so sorry. Our next caller, though, is Sinek?
Sean Ake?
Shaunek. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Nobody's ever been able to pronounce it. So it's all good.
Not initially, but once you say it, it's easy. Shaunek, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's fine.
Nice.
It's a shortened version of a Gallic name. I picked this screen name like 10 years ago, and I've just never changed it. So
listen, my screen name used to be Twerk17. There's no judgment here, brother.
All right, what would you like to talk about today?
So I had a couple of things. I guess actually just maybe to touch on the last point you guys were talking about with the last guy. What would you guys think about a system where you have to sort of grind to the ships that you've bought off of the website when the game goes live? So you bought your LTI C2 or whatever, but you have to reach a certain UEC that you then dump to unlock access to that LTI ship for the long term.
I initially said it would be illegal, but I don't think it would be because they deliver it to you. It's in your hangar. You can look at it.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about a similar thing before where they wouldn't mind bringing in something like licenses, where it's like once you get a certain amount of rep with like generic tutorial like organization eventually that you get to unlock the ships or something. I would be for it. I think it would be bad for the game, if that makes sense. Like I think the community wouldn't like it particularly.
Yeah, I think it would be good for the game.
Yeah, sorry, like yeah.
Yeah, and I think you do too.
Oh, sorry.
But I think people would not like it.
The articles. Player buys $40,000 worth of ships, can only fly $100 worth of ships.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Yeah, I didn't put a
it'd be
lot of
so
thought
funny.
behind that. It was just sort of a pop-up thought as you guys were talking about it.
I
Like,
li-
what would be a
listen,
way to navigate this?
love the
'Cause,
idea,
yeah.
but in practice, oh my god, the rage would be insane.
Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe doing something like that just personally for myself. Is
Yeah.
okay, you've
Yeah,
got
cool.
all of these ships in your inventory, but you're starting out with, your whatever starter ship I end up with by the time the game actually comes out 15 years from now. And then we sort of grind through until I get to my C1, and then I can haul some cargo with that and sort of progress through. And
That's all fine and good, Sean, for the alpha. But if
Mhm.
that's what
Yeah.
you have to do to have fun when the game is out, this game has failed.
Yeah, I mean that's just
Right?
for me. That's personally how I'd approach it to make sure that it's not pay to win. It's just I don't
I
know that there's anything in that. I'm not saying anybody else would have to do that
I just think
unless they instantiate it. But
I think you feel that, like, I think people feel the need to create the gameplay for themselves. Star Citizen's a sandbox. I understand all that.
Yeah,
But I think the fact that there aren't tons of fun things to do right now is why we're searching for the ideas of fun things to do. I think we will
yeah, we're
have
very limited.
yeah. So because we're very limited, like the idea of a 0 to hero account is appealing, right? The idea of grinding for a ship, even though I own it, like, or I can fly it already, but like creating a way to give myself a challenge. Challenging yourself will be a thing, but I think when we're closer to the release of the game, the hope for me is that there would be enough challenge within their own game design and their own things that you can go out and challenge yourself with, that you would be happy enough for to use the ships that you have and engage with the game in some way, shape, or form. And if we don't have enough, that's what I mean by, like, they failed. I don't think that means the game is over and that, they're not going to continue to design it, try to make it better. I just mean by 1.0, if we're not, filled with tasks that we want to do in the game, at least initially, and then we can challenge ourselves later, then I think 1.0 would be pretty problematic.
yeah, for
It's
sure.
important to remember as well, like CIG want us to have goals, because the more goals we have, the more we're gonna play the game, and the more we're gonna buy.
Yeah.
Whether it's pledged ships or skins or whatever, right? So, kind of regardless how you look at it, it's almost certainly going to go that way. We just want it now.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Which is why we create these ideas, like, of fun challenges for ourselves now, right? Give us something now, because we know the world that we're playing in is fun. It could be fun. We just have to make it fun for ourselves for now, and they can do it for us eventually.
Yeah. I play a lot of sort of sim games. I know that there's a bit of a blurred line here in terms of whether or not this is a sim or an MMO or FPS game. Like, what is Star Citizen exactly? It's kind of nebulous.
Yeah.
But so I play a lot of like farming simulator and stuff like that, where you need to set your own progressive goals, and that's how you create the fun. So I'm maybe a little bit more uncomfortable, or a little more comfortable with them not ironing all of that out exactly yet. But I agree with you. I really hope that that's sort of the end.
Yeah,
The end target is that you can go in and play, hey, you've got a plethora of missions for whatever industry type you want to get into, and run for miles, right?
But even in that game, you have a limited amount of money to start with. You could only buy so many fields. Then because of that, you could only buy a certain type of tractor. You might have to rent attachments and things like that, right? Like, there's still 100 more things you could do on your, like, first playthrough of Farm Sim, of just like vanilla, right?
Yep.
There's also like Star Citizen has a lot of things to do. Like, we have mining, space combat, which is like pretty deep, FPS combat, which is deeper than it used to be. We have salvage, we have like cave exploration, if that's what you're into, deliveries, if that's what you're into. We're about to have cargo missions. There's a lot of things to do. There's not many reasons to do them. There's not many goals to try to achieve.
There's lots of things to do once.
Like a sandbox, yes, it's like I set my own goals, but I can't make many goals in Star Citizen outside of make money.
Yeah, for sure.
That's kind of it,
Yeah,
with obviously them already having plans for some stuff. So, yeah, it's just a little different.
For sure.
The description of sandboxes, like we were talking
turns
about,
out when you have
Eve's a sandbox.
Turns out when you have a game that is super vague genre, like, it's gonna have lots of differences.
The everything game problem.
It's just like Eve's a sandbox, and like most people are arguing for more Eve-like economy mechanics, things like that, and like the people use sandbox as a crutch. I'm not saying that's what you were just doing, Croncy, because I don't think you were, but I do see people use that as a crutch anytime I'm like, can we add some gameplay, please? And they're like, well, this is sandbox. We make our own gameplay. And it's like, no, man, that's not what we're saying here.
No, you can have both, right? You should have sandbox where you get your emergent storytelling and gameplay, but also there's a reason to log on every day. There's a purpose within the game that sort of...
It drives the sandbox. There needs to be something that drives
just
it.
more things in game to strive for.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I have a couple other questions. This one's maybe just a little bit of a fun thought experiment. So I've seen a lot of sentiment, or that they're kind of people who play the game are done spending real money until X, Y, or Z milestone is accomplished. And
I'm just done, period. But that's me.
Yeah,
I'm done because I'm broke.
Oh well, that might kill this question. So, but. So the Ironclads seem to sell all right, like they did pretty well compared to November of last year. Yeah, but it sort of fell for me into that power creep, bigger is better marketing strategy, whereas I've always been a bigger fan of the sort of rock paper scissors Pokemon model, if you want to call it that, where what they seem to want to do is like, here's a ship that has 200 more cargo capacity than the last ship. Like, whereas I really liked what they had sort of set up with the C1, the Cuddy Black, and the Freelancer Max, where it's like, hey, you've got 3 ships that kind of do the same thing a little bit different. Pick your starter Pokemon, right? Like, so I guess it's a 2-part question for you guys. Do you think that we should be seeing more filler in between those sizes, or should we be looking at more same size variants? And what would, I guess, be the ship for you that if they released it in those categories would make you cross that line of investing more in the project? And that could be fun for chat to maybe chime in as well.
I think I'm always store crediting, but there's not many things that would make me store credit. However, if we get an Argo refiner, that might be
anything Argo mining wise. Like, I will never put another dime into the game because I've spent enough, and because of the power creep that you mentioned, there's no need to keep the older ships that are not good enough. I don't consider it power creep in the case of the Ironclad. It's hard to argue that it's not with the Hornet. But with the Ironclad, and you can maybe make the same argument for the Hornet as well, if you're really stretching. My big thing is I think they understand the game that they're making now, and like even a ship that's come so recently like the C1, they didn't understand the assignment with that either, right? You have this tractor beam that moves from here to there, but it's largely dog shit and useless when you're interacting with larger boxes. So if I can carry 232 SCU boxes, but I can't move them into the ship, what's the point? With the C1. Whereas when I looked at the Ironclad, it was like, everything here makes sense for the current game that's in front of me, and even some of the future game that's in front of me. And whereas all of the ships that are in the game currently just look like they got half of the brief of what Star Citizen Cargo would be, and they were like, they'll make a ship. They didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, right.
Think about every ship in the game now, how it would look different if they did it right, if they knew what the game looked like today. Every cargo ship would look different than it is today.
I would also go further, specifically with the Ironclad, and say like the Hornet makes a lot of sense because we got to actually see the other Hornets in game, right? The Ironclad looks very much like it's going to be in a spot where it's going to be super annoying to defend, first off, because it is just a wall, which means it's going to get hit by every single bullet anyone puts at it. It's going to be super quick for anyone who is fighting you to be able to steal your cargo, for the same reason it's going to be easy for you to load your cargo. So there's not going to be like much response time for people.
Theoretically, you could have your own little command module and just attach to it, right? And take it.
Sure.
Yep.
Actually, yes, please, CRG. Sorry, that is a sick idea. My heisting ironclads with your own command module.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah. There's no way it flies remotely as good as the Hercules will in atmosphere, and it obviously doesn't carry as much cargo as the things like the hulls do. So it's one of those things where it's like the ironclad's in a good. The ironclad sold well because it's a ship more people want compared to some of those other cargo ships. It's like, no, this is really what I wanted to do this whole time. I would imagine, even though it did sell very, very well, I would imagine there was a ton of store crediting and melting of Hercules to turn it into that. But you will still see Hercules around. Yep, prices almost exactly the same war bond, I think. And so, like, at least in that aspect, it's power creep, but not in the way of like it actually giving them more money, sort of thing.
I think I'd just be more comfortable if it was like closer in terms of the actual SCU storage, right? It's not just. I think there's a lot of mentality within Star Citizen that you have to play the thing that makes you the most money, and so if it has 200 SCU more than its nearest competitor at a similar price point, well, it's an obvious choice. Where I felt like there was a bit more of a which would you prefer between the C1, the Cuddy Black, and the Freelancer? Do you want something that's sort of middle of the road, which I sort of view the C1 as? Do you want the more defensible combat ship in the Cuddy Black, or do you want to be dedicated hull or tank in the Freelancer Max? Right.
I'm going to counter that with one thing, which is for that exact same reason. Why would you ever bring a Gladius out instead of a Javelin? There's other things about these ships more than just the SCU that matter. Right. And that's going to be the important thing when it comes down to it, when these ships do release. But if you are right, if the Ironclad comes out and there is no reason to use any other atmospheric cargo ship, that's going to suck.
Right.
And so, yeah, CRG, don't do that, please. And I hope they won't. The only time really recently that we've had any issues with new ships being unbalanced has been mostly in combat, with the exception of the Reclaimer rework. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm confident that it'll be fine for the most part. I'm more concerned with how combat stuff will go in the future.
Right. So I don't know. I'd like to sort of see a Terrapin ambulance or maybe an alternative, like you were talking about an Argo refinery. Like I'd like to see an entry level variant for the Prospector. I just don't really like the way that the Prospector looks, and that's your only avenue into mining if you are going to progress through the game. Kind of sucks. So I'd like to see more of that rock paper scissors option available, sort of at those lower entry level.
Yeah, I just think before they do rock, paper, scissors, they need to get the assignment right the first time. So, like, assuming that the C1, the Cutlass, and the Freelancer are good ships, I look at those and I go, those all need a Mark II. All of them. Well, except for the C1, probably. But the C1 needs a couple tweaks. The rest of them need Mark IIs. And then I think we're fine. But yeah, like
just as a quick one, would you prefer
sucks.
Mark IIs opposed to reworks?
I think they would be one in this. No, I prefer reworks because I don't like the idea of them reselling something for more money and having people feel like they have to spend the extra $50 or something. I think everything should just be reworked. I'm tired of the like you didn't do it right the first time. That's not my fault, you know.
Yeah.
Like you creeped the game, not me. So I shouldn't
be
the punished
only time
for it.
I'm okay a little bit. I don't like the power creep on the new Hornet, but I think it needed a redesign. Like it was designed back when, you know, it just doesn't fit the game, the current or Mark I Hornet. Like I just don't think it visually fits with the rest of the ships that are in the game. It's just such an old design, so I'm okay with them investing the time to redesign it, but it should have had effectively the same stats, right? Like it shouldn't come out and just be leaps and bounds better. That doesn't make much sense.
Just needs to be different. But, we'll probably leave that one there, Shawnick. So thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate it a ton. We'll look forward to the next one.
Nice talk to you guys.
Later.
Easy. Bye. Have a good one.
Okay. And then we got Rohirrim. Rohirrim,
how you doing? You are muted. You are still muted.
You are still muted.
We
Going
will
once,
try you
going
again.
twice. We'll try.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Howdy.
Okay. On the topic of not giving CIG more money, what do you guys think about CIG giving to us the ability to change USC into star credit?
Like Plex and stuff?
Like, you know, the buyback tokens. We could have some ability to not offer USC.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Like we
always
have for, we can melt weapons and other equipments. We should be able to not have Alpha USC and have star credits instead.
I am okay with using in-game money for outside game purchases because I think there's a couple of games that have done that really well, like Eve, for example. However, like the reason that they did well is because they've got subscription systems.
Yeah, I've played one game
that's
like
the sort
this.
of advantage there.
But I'm
No,
not
not like that. Like we bought our USC with real money. I want the ability to put this real money into chips instead of Alpha USC.
You will get UEC when it comes out.
You will eventually get UEC, but
yeah,
okay.
because they haven't decided the value of USC.
Yeah. So
I think they
ask
are
a question
right now
then.
with the economy team.
If you buy UEC on the website right now, do they give you, so like let's say you have 1 million Alpha UEC on your account right now because you spent for the last however many months. Do you start in after a wipe with 1 million Alpha UEC?
Yes, you start with your Alpha USC. But they put Alpha USC so undervalued compared to the ships, compared to the equipments. So I think they should give the players the ability to convert Alpha USC into star cards.
Maybe, or what I think you really want is for them to just relook at the $10 for 1,000 Alpha UEC or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, and readjust the, like, I know Albion Online has like a market, I'm assuming Eve does as well. Like you earn silver in the game and you could buy gold, and gold you can buy their subscription with it or whatever, right? But you could also buy gold for real money, and the cost for X amount of gold is always fluctuating. It's going up, it's going down, and people play that market. And I think people do that with like Plex or something like that in Eve as well. I don't know.
Yep.
So they just have to marketize. I just made up a word. What UEC is valued at, I guess. But can we really do that now? I don't know.
That's why I think they should give the ability to have star credits instead of Alpha USC. So they don't need to
I feel like you should
balance.
be able to. I feel like you should be able to melt everything.
Yeah.
Like,
can you melt your Alpha UEC purchases or no? Probably not.
You can't.
Okay.
They used to have another store, I believe it's Forge Direct.
You're
and
right,
when
yes.
I bought Alpha USC or USC, they said that everything you bought on that store would not be refunded. So only from the Flash store can you melt.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think at this point they should just give you store credit for it until they come up with the right system.
But do you think too many people have too much in USC?
Yes.
It's
I
cut too much from the ship sales.
I don't think you should be able to buy money right now.
So I am okay with buying money. I actually,
but now,
there was like a video you made. Yes,
like
there was a video you made
years?
like a year ago that like I was like, no, there's a reason, Mike, and it's killing me because I'm watching a video and I'm not talking to you. The reason that they do it right now is for the exact reason that Plex was initially brought in for Eve.
Okay.
And the same reason they ended up bringing in the WoW token for WoW, and it's because people sell UEC for real money, and the way essentially what you're able to do, and it doesn't destroy the problem, but it does help with the problem, is by you putting an actual monetary value on the UEC and making it also, this is a legal way to acquire that. You can mess with those people. You can mess with their profits and whatnot and try to get them shut down. That's the primary reason. And that's also why it's garbage and it's never worth buying UEC. It's always worth buying just playing the game, but it's also why it's really, really expensive and bad anyway to do it on the website. So that's why they do it.
Okay.
I see what you're saying, but I think it's bad for the community. They do this like this, and we people who bought USC, we have no fear for the amount we spend.
I don't feel bad for you. I don't know
if you're buying if you're buying UEC, first off, once again, it's really expensive for how much you get, and then it's also like way too easy to make money in the game still. So I feel like it's a non-issue.
But I'm not a new backer. When I bought USC, was first one hunger model. No hunger. The first arena commander, the combat model.
Then I feel because what you did then is you want to talk actual pay to win. That's when the game was pay to win. So I know what was going on then. You needed to buy a Hornet in order to win. It's very funny because it's just like now, and you needed, and then on top of that, there were only certain weapons that you could buy on the Voyager Direct store, and they were the most OP weapons. So you had to buy those weapons and things like that, right? Like we were all bad,
and I bought the weapons
to be punished. We were all bad then, and we deserve our punishment. This is our punishment. It was the most pay to win shit there ever was.
Yeah.
So, look, am I missing something, Rohirrim, there?
I did not do this to win everybody. I did it to play the game, to enjoy the game.
As you said, it was the only You did it option. To not lose, then. Is that the same thing?
I went first on the combat model with Aurora. Okay. I was being beaten left and right. I wanted a fair chance.
Exactly. We are justifying pay to win by paying to not lose to the pay to winners.
No, I'm not justifying. I'm saying that the season back then was bad.
Yes.
And it's bad now.
Yes. I understand that. Okay. I'm just making sure because the system was so bad then that Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and let me make sure I understand correctly. You want to, because when they removed the Voyager Direct store, they took all of those items that we purchased and melted them and gave us the monetary value back as store credit. Are what you're saying right now is to do the same thing with Alpha UEC?
Yeah, they gave us the option to melt into Alpha UEC. I wanted the option to melt into store credit.
Have you ever potentially reached out to support to see if you could? I wonder if they would do that.
They might, yeah.
They might, legitimately.
I did, and they denied. I tried to talk to Silo on the Spectrum.
Yeah.
Since they denied, I went for a full refund. Since, for me, if you sell money in game and you don't have a value for the money in game, and later you say, we are not going to balance it by the dollar amount you spend, for me it's a scam.
What are they going to do when they do change the value? Like, are the old people just screwed, or are they going to give you more money? I think they're probably going to give you the proper value on the first day that they actually fix it.
Yeah, that's the question. I don't know.
I think that's what they'll do. I think it would be crazy if they didn't. Like, let's say you bought 10,000 Alpha UEC, but it's actually going to be 1 million. I think that's probably what will happen on the first day.
At least they now have a refund policy for USC. When I bought it, there were no headphones allowed.
No headphones?
no refund.
Oh, refund. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now if you buy it, there's refunds.
Yeah, they
Okay.
on the Vice store there were warning signs saying if you buy USC, there will be no refund.
Yeah. Okay, I remember that too, and that was for all the items actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now they have the policy of 12 days, but I had no option for refund.
Okay. I definitely see your point now that we've talked through it, and it is not good at all. They should probably stop selling money right now. Because
I think at least
I truly have no idea what's going on, but I do think you should be able to melt everything in your hangar.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it would be bad for their funding for the game, so they shouldn't do more amounts, buy bad tokens.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. That's really bad, actually. The more and more I think about it, this is really, really weird and silly. But I don't think they're going to do wrong by those people. Let's put it that way. I don't think they're going to do you wrong. I think they're going to do the right thing.
Yeah, they improved a lot. Like buyback tokens are awesome. Alpha USC is a progress, but when they decided to sell USC, they did not have the economy, the value of USC figured out.
They still don't.
I think they shot on their own foot.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But Rohirrim, I think that's probably where we'll move on. But I think you make a really good point, and it makes me want to like ask more questions, and I'm very curious about this topic now and what their plans would be for the future. I think if they ever do like
really
Q&A stuff.
Want to hear guys' takes because I don't know how many people bought USC, if there's many, if there's long time backers like me.
I know I know people who have been buying UEC every week for years because they want to be a bazillionaire when they start. And they probably will be, and it'll be the most stupid thing of all time. So I hope exactly what you said. I hope they just refund everybody's store credit and then they can do with it later, but they can't do that either. It's a mess. But that's where we'll leave it, Rohirrim, because we got a couple more callers, but
Okay, thank you very much.
I
thank
you
for the talk, guys.
Yeah, no, I thank you because I never really thought about it in this way, and I thank you for opening my eyes because this is not good.
No problem.
Right. Later, man.
Thank you.
See you, man.
You said you were lost, but I think I'm pretty.
I was so lost. I still don't know if he wants to buy more or I don't know. I was lost.
It's because the value's so bad. If they don't do right by the people who are buying now, it's going to be horrible. That's basically the argument.
Wasn't the value always bad?
Yes, but eventually it won't be. The value will be like appropriate at some point because when the game ever releases or whenever they actually decide to do a proper like WoW token or Plex or whatever, then it's not going to be what the value is now. So what do they do for the people who had purchased it for all this time? Are they just going to have them be fucked and have them have like 10,000, 20,000 credits on their account? Or should they go back to whatever they actually, okay, we finally deemed the value of Alpha UEC today. We're opening up, the store for purchases and we're going to have like a marketplace and it fluctuates like everything else. But my hope would be is whatever day one that they open up that store is all the people who had made purchases in the past will have their value reassessed and their accounts will have the appropriate amount of Alpha UEC on it instead of the inappropriate that everyone would agree with now, right?
I sort of get that, but then if yes, let them refund it, but if you're concerned about it, stop buying UEC.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I think he's just pointing out a problem. Like all these people are buying it and it just seems like really scammy and weird. I think that's all.
I guess the big thing with EVE and the WoW token and whatnot is obviously the players determine the price, the in-game price of those items, which means they're essentially determining the price, the value of like each gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, let's bring in the next caller.
Yep. the 5-star. What's up?
Hey, doing 5-star?
Yo.
How's it going?
What's going on? It's going pretty good, man. Like you guys, I am in the 323.2 waiting room.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was thinking about it today, man. It's kind of nutty. We still know so little about how all of these changes are gonna really play out.
You're talking the cargo stuff, right?
Yes, the cargo stuff. And
don't know.
it's such a huge thing that we are supposed to have gotten like a month or so ago. So the fact that we still haven't gotten, anything on SCL about it or anything, it's interesting.
Do you think that's bad or good? I think that's so good.
Yeah. I think
I don't
it's
think it's
bad.
good.
I just
They're taking their time
like
with
it.
a very important feature. That's the big thing, right?
No,
I just want it, man. Like, gimme.
Exactly, but why do you want it so bad? Because you don't know what it is. You finally get to open the game and go, what's all this? Like, I hope the patch notes are vague too.
Yes.
And I hope the entire
cargo has been added.
Exactly. And then you go in and it's like, okay, well, what do I do? Well, I know there's going to be rep, so I build rep, and then you find out what cargo is, right? Like, that's kind of what I want it to be. Like, that's what's exciting me about it, is I'm excited about the unknown. Like, I know there's changes, but I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rep, man. Yeah, like even with the distro centers, the main and really the only thing I've been doing in 323 is just trying to get mercenary up and delivery missions up, because I hear there are delivery missions at the distro centers. I haven't seen them, but that's kind of what I'm working on now. So to actually see that tie in, that's the big reason I'm doing the delivery missions, is because I want to have my rep up a little higher so that when these missions come in, maybe that affects it. Who knows?
323.2 full wipe.
Rep the wiped, yeah.
Do it all over again.
Man. Yeah, the duping stuff really put a stink on this.
Yeah.
This wipe. But yeah, this all brings some really nice new changes. I think the big thing I'm curious about is the whole C, because the whole C came into the game. They put this super band-aid placeholder system that they were obviously never gonna fix because it was placeholder. So now I'm very curious with this new system. Are we going to hand load our whole Cs entirely, or if we do the the remote AI does it thing, is it going to be the same system we have now, just actually working, or is it going to be something different?
Actually working is a big. That's like, we'll see it there, but I imagine they'll continue using it. It's a cool system, and it'd feel like a waste, right?
I think it's. I think it's gonna be the new one, like, because all that really has to happen there is the cargo is being loaded behind the scenes. You spawn in your ship, and it spawns in on the docking collar with the cargo on it. Right?
Yeah,
like that's my expectation.
I hope so too, but that was also my expectation with the current system, and it never worked. But I don't know. I feel like
apparently fixed in one of the .1As. Apparently, I didn't check. You're the shadow patch notes guy though, so maybe you saw it. I haven't played this patch.
Yeah, they did say that. Yeah. Speaking of this patch,
sorry, I just love that you didn't confirm it. You just said, yeah, they said that.
Yeah. Well, they say a lot of things.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of this current patch, I hopped on to attempt to do some Xeno threat. And went over. There was some interesting changes. I didn't get too far into it, but one of the big changes I saw was that they had the new boxes, which they showed in ISC. But it's like that green one, Zeta Prolinate or whatever.
Oh,
like
they're larger, right?
Yeah, it was like large boxes, like the size of a 2 SCU container.
Okay, cool.
So my big question immediately was, will this snap to the grid? So I never got out there in my own ship. I kind of like got there in a ship and then jumped in some random dude's Corsair, and I was trying to stick it to the grid and it wouldn't stick. So I don't know if that's like not how it's gonna work or if that's intentional, but then I think why even make the bigger ones in the first place if they don't snap to the grid?
So that we don't have to spend 30 tiny ones, I imagine.
So Cutlet did it as well. Yeah. Also did not stick to the grid.
Yeah,
I feel like it's probably intentional, right? Because one of the boxes is because one of the boxes is like, if it gets bounced around too much, it explodes.
Yeah, that's
If it got stuck to the grid, I imagine it just wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's the blue one. Yeah. That is
so it
true.
might be intentional.
I guess the only thing I could think is maybe they want to put a use to the bigger tractor beams, but the thing is the multi-tool could move it anyway. Then I thought the only thing I could really think of is they want to like exclude the smaller ships. So like you can't fit this in like a super tiny thing. Maybe, I don't know. I was just trying to think what's the point.
Is you're playing a PTU and they fucking forgot. Like, let's be real. Let's be real. The artist made it pretty, they approved it, and then they didn't do the rest of the work like always. So that's my guess, is they forgot.
Is there a combination of small and large, or is it all just large?
And this was only just one experience I did really quick, but I only saw like a large container that was about the size of a 2 SCU crate.
Okay, cool.
So I didn't see any variation.
If it is a combination of the like multiple sizes, then that's the reason why we have the multiple sizes, is so that like you can potentially just fill up faster with the bigger containers, and you know, you're not spending, I don't know, we would spend like 20 minutes every time just throwing boxes into the back of a truck.
Yeah, I mean the 1/8
the
are
amount
still
of
there.
SCU they need.
Yeah, the 1/8 boxes are still there too. It's just that they also added these kind of oddly.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. If the 1/8 boxes were still there, then yeah, I almost guarantee this is intentional, and it's just so that you do have the ability to like make it faster if you want to go for just the big boxes and stuff.
Okay.
Because if they just like theoretically, if they just wanted to visually make them bigger, then yeah, they could just change the amount that you would need at Jericho, and it would be the same. But actually having the differences means you've got more decisions to make when you go to Xenothreat. So yeah. I also don't know how I feel about, like, if it is intentional that they don't go to the grid. I don't know how I feel about that, because I do like the idea that there is some risk to them literally bouncing around inside the cargo.
Me too.
But
at the same time, it's like,
let us
it makes
use the cool mechanics.
It just doesn't make any sense. Everything snaps to the grid except for these. Like, why not? That's dumb.
Yeah, like
they look like cargo crates, right? Like,
yeah, like, could you not make those blue ones still risky in a different way, and then everything can still snap?
Yeah, just accept that, like it no longer makes sense in the current game that you made, and just fix it, change it.
Yeah, just mess around.
Do right by it. Like, the other ones make sense. It's okay. Just change that one to like some other thing, like radioactive. Done.
Yeah, I thought it'd be cool if maybe those were like heavier, so you needed either ship tractor beam or the tractor rifle. Because to this day, that tractor rifle is still the most like pointless addition as of right now. It's just kind of there, you know.
Yeah.
So
that's
a good point. That might be cool.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Speaking of tractor beams, the Cutlass tractor beam still doesn't work.
Nice.
They put it in the back. Super awesome placement. And I figured, they want all these tractor beams ready to go for this current cargo update we got. So hopefully they get those working.
But it just doesn't work?
Yeah, it's just there.
Cool. Nice job. C1 still terribly placed. And same with the Caterpillar. GG, let's go.
Yeah.
Ship it.
That was a super cool cat concept I saw. I don't know if maybe this crossed your eye, but someone did a mock-up of a Caterpillar with the doors open, and the grid is on the door.
Yep.
So you stack the cargo.
So it kind of makes it look a bit more like a
and
hole.
It folds in.
Yes, and it just folds in
into the cargo.
I was like, oh, dude, chef's kiss.
It was perfect.
Caterpillar Mark II coming IAE this year.
Let's go. That was perfect. Go. Like I wouldn't love the Ironclad as much as if that's how the Caterpillar worked. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that one looks sick. But all right, guys, yeah, that's all I got. Keeping it short.
All right, man.
Sweet. Easy.
Well, it was good chatting with you as always, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Anytime. Catch you later.
Later, guys.
All right. I don't want to talk to this guy. He killed me.
This
SaltEMike and Sweet Croncy, how you guys doing?
Hey, Voidy.
Doing good. Yeah. How'd you enjoy the tournament?
I loved it. Actually, was the first thing I wanted to touch on was the tournament, man. I had so much fun. It was an absolute blast. It's a side of Star Citizen that I haven't really dived into in terms of like the dogfighty stuff. So, oh, am I too loud, guys? Sorry.
No, that's me. That's me.
All right, we'll adjust.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
One day you were quiet and I had you up. You were very loud.
Yeah, the tournament was a blast, dude. I've seriously gotten a little bit of a bug now for it. I might actually never see
Sweet.
Stosses in the same way, man. I might start flying more dogfighters, but I will still rest firmly in the camp that if I ever see another fucking light fighter come out with more weapons to destroy a solar system, I mean, dude, they've got to stop with this shit. I'm not a fan. But Joe, what I wanted to touch on was maybe a little bit of a rant. I don't know. What do you guys? There might have actually been a key piece of information that I'm missing here. I think I might have seen it on one of your streams recently, SaltEMike, where there was a Spectrum post, and they're basically talking about like the way they're handling fixes and stuff, right? In particular, right, stuff like the Hornet wiggling and like the duplication stuff. Like, at what point, and I guess they get a free pass for this kind of thing because of we're missing core technology stuff like server mesh and stuff like that. When do we start seeing hot fixes come in for things that are like literally ruining the game, right?
We
like
talked about this last week.
Yeah, it all depends on how the fix works. So if it has to be a file change, they can't do it until they have another patch. But
yeah,
what
I was of
Yogi's
the opinion
getting
when we
smashed about is that the Hornet fix exists, but it doesn't exist in the 1A. It exists in the .2. So like, why isn't it in the 1A?
Okay, so
like he's
it's the
getting
nature of
destroyed on
overlapping
that.
development and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, and this is the thing, right? They're gonna have their reasons. We're sitting here on the sidelines. We don't have all the the
Exactly.
nitty gritty detail. We're not developers, all this kind of stuff, right? But I mean, the point stands. Like the further the project gets into development, right? I mean, dude, imagine the 3.23.2 cargo patch drops, and there's another exploit or bug or something that's
There
gonna
will
like
be.
ruin that entire cycle, right?
There probably will be.
Dude, it's got to get to a point where this is no longer acceptable, right?
Yeah.
I'm not usually like this. I don't usually hold these stances. I usually give stances the benefit of the doubt. I'm firmly in the camp of like, okay, well, go play the other, go play the games that compete with Star Citizen, right? I'm that kind of, to that degree, I'm a bit of a white knight, right? But throughout this year, as we come into 4.0 and then to 1.0 after that, whatever this means or however long that takes, I really feel we've got to start seeing a more serious approach to fixing these types of things, because it ruins the entire cycle, right? Not just for me, for so many people. And it's I would love to see that taken more seriously. And I mean, it's one of these things, from any casual outsider's perspective, you look at this and you, as soon as you see issues not getting fixed, exploits particularly not getting fixed timeously, people, they're just going to throw their hands up in the air, man. They're not going to care.
Yeah. And that's exactly what's going on right now. I feel like people are just like, what the,
Yeah, so I'm of the opinion that we are at the spot right now where if we have an issue like the duping exploit, and CIG can make can physically figure out a fix, that we should right now be like close the game for 2 days. Bring it in. I think we're at that point. Mike disagreed, and you had some good points for it.
Yeah,
like,
I don't agree
we're not
yet.
really there, but we have to be at least close to that era of no. You need to shut the game down until these things are fixed. Specifically with duping, though, I will say, because we know wipes are happening and they've happened a little more commonly recently, that issue maybe is one that doesn't need to get addressed as aggressively. And I don't know of any other bugs that we've had that I would still say, yep, close the game down, do it now. But yeah, we've got to be close. The CIG have to be thinking about it right now, what they're going to do.
Yeah, if they're talking all about 1.0, I mean, that's the moment of you. That's when you shut it down, or that's when you start banning exploiters, like all those things, right? Like, did they have to shut it down? No, but they could have shut those people down. Anybody doing that, they could have. All you have to do is ban 5 of them, ban 10 of them. It goes on Spectrum. It goes here. It goes there, and then, they banned me until 4.0. Done. Yeah, and then people are going to go, caught, and just, I'm done. Sorry. Yeah. I only did
Joke's
it
once, on you, CIG. Here's another $45.
Yeah, didn't know, like I didn't mean it, and like then everybody just stops and it'll be okay. It's their lack of like, I think Voidy is kind of on there too. It's their lack of like jumping on a problem and getting it done. Yep. And the thing that pissed me the most off about this, and we definitely talked about this last week or the week before, was that they knew about this problem in the PTU and they still went live because of the fucking ship sales. That's the problem with this one. They knew about it, dude. They knew about it. So that's the one. Like, if they didn't know about it and people found out about it, but they were hiding it, that's an entirely different thing. Nobody was hiding this. Everybody knew about it. They knew about it, and they still went live, and they're getting what they deserve now. And it's it sucks. But the thing
we just want a higher prioritization of those things.
Yeah. Like in this case, if you were going to go live with it and you knew about it, you should have let everybody know that this is an exploit that exists. Anybody who does it is going to be banned until after 4.0 or something.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're toast. Done. Okay, sorry. Done.
Yeah, no, agreed. Sorry, I'm operating on like 3 or 4 hours of sleep, so I've actually totally forgot my next point.
I feel you.
But yeah, you guys were talking a little bit earlier, just to be a little bit more relevant to the time. Sorry, I missed the last week's podcast. So
it's all good.
Somebody was saying something about like, you know, this problem that we're sitting with you know, ships that are bought and you know, everybody, you know, the lack of progression and how hard it's going to be to make progression a thing. I mean, dude, we can easily imagine a world where systems or planets start popping up and appearing in the game, and you know, post 1.0 sort of world where you need the special components or shields or whatever it is to even like go to that system. You know, maybe there's a nebula there or some kind of, you know, radiation and none of that stuff to even set foot in that location is available in the store. That is the thing that will save your, you know, that will gate content behind progress in game.
Yeah,
right?
And then copy and paste that.
I'll say that's a good example.
Copy and paste that 500 different ways, and we have a good game.
Exactly. Down to the FPS level, up to the ship level, 100%.
Yep.
The reason Mike and I shout about crafting every week is because that's going to be a huge progression thing, right? That's a huge goal-orientated gameplay mechanic that like can keep you in there for ages and ages and ages and keep you having fun. So
technically it doesn't have to be, right? Because like you could gain reputation and buy these unique items on a store or something, but crafting makes it you and me work together so you can go to that place.
Yeah.
Even if we never talk to each other, it's like I had a part in that.
And there's some kind of like pair economy. The guys who are like, okay, dude, you know, the new system's out. You need this type of equipment to get there. We're going to start pumping that shit out. We'll build our, you know, sort of funds and you know, our resources will generate that way. That's our loop. And everybody who wants to go to this place will come to us for the parts, right? And we dictate the prices, we dictate all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of start imagining pockets within within the larger game, little pockets where the players do run some kind of economy, and it is meaningful to a degree, right? So I mean, I think there's still plenty of options on the table, and you know, creative ways to get around this I want to say the hole that they've kind of dug themselves into with the way you know everything revolves around running, everything's real money. But, you know, I mean, dude, the Star Citizen thrives on controversy, right? You think that, you know, nobody at CIG gets upset when there's like an IGN article about, there's no release date, but there's $700 billion raised or whatever.
I don't think I've gotten upset about anything IGN have said about any game.
I would love to see headlines where it's like
New World console thing on IGN, and I literally wanted to gouge my eyes out. That they paid people to cheer for New World on consoles.
Let's go!
Yes, I can't wait. That's all I was waiting for. No, what?
Jeez, I mean, I would honestly love to see headlines that say like, you know, players spent $10,000 on spaceship and can't fly it for 2 weeks because it got destroyed. You know, even longer than that, right? I mean,
EVE Online.
Any news is good news, man. I think it would go down well. But yeah, I think that's all I've got. Sorry, it might have been an old topic, but yeah, I just wanted to raise it and get it off my chest, man.
Yeah, it was good.
Today was one of our completely open days, so we could talk about anything. But yeah, it's all good, man.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I'll let you guys get on with it and have a good one.
You too,
Void. Cheers for the call in. Good job with your team.
Yes.
Today,
thanks,
for me,
man.
Well done.
It was so much fun.
Smash it.
Good fights.
It was awesome. I enjoyed it so
man.
much. Cool.
Awesome.
Take it easy, guys.
All right, I know there's one person in the green room, but Krykos, this is where we're going to end the show. It is, we're over 2 hours, pretty late, so we're going to call it here. But thank you for watching today, guys. As always, Croncy, I hope you had some fun. As always, we find a way. to make the show 2 hours, even though literally nothing happened.
Yeah, once again, even though it was like slow week, we still were able to talk about like the Mothra report for 30 minutes, and everyone's still complaining about a bunch of stuff, so we get to talk about all that. So
yeah, and I think it shows that when we don't have much, we can just open it up, talk about anything else, and it's fine. We talked about RMT and EVE Online. Like, it's all good. It's all good.
You tried to not talk about EVE. We ended up spending almost all the calls.
They forced me into it. I literally said, because I know people are probably getting tired of it, but he's trying to make... Okay, somebody DM'd a dev in my channel and said, please don't listen to Mike, he's stupid. And that dev immediately posted the DM in my Discord. And everybody said based, first off, so screw you guys.
True.
And second, yeah. So, like, I get it. People probably don't want me to be saying that one game that they like should look like another game that they may not, right? So it is what it is. But yeah. So that was today's show. Hit the follow button, I guess, on Twitch for myself and Croncy if you guys are new here. If you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Again, I'd love to see us at over 4,000 subscribers by the next show, because we'll push over, we'll get there slowly, but there's a lot more views than subscribers, and that is super not normal. So yeah,
and if you want some extra incentive, you can try to beat my subscriber count, which is like 4,300.
Oh, nice. Let's go. There you go. Let's go. We do post more often than you do, so it makes sense. But you'll get there. So yeah, that's where we're at with the show, I think. And I hope we have a lot more next week. I hope we're talking cargo next week, man. We've said it 2 weeks in a row.
I really hope so too.
I'm tired.
I will just say as well, I guess, if you want to like check out the tournament that Mike competed in today, and that I was doing commentating in.
It was awesome.
That'll be up on Twitch and YouTube, and I think donations are still going as well. So do that too.
Yeah, for sure.
Easy.
And don't forget
to answer the call. That might have been our worst one.